I want to start off by thanking Walter State and Dr. Mixon for letting us use this facility. We all know in this day and time that the coordinating events and meetings is difficult. Trying to meet all the guidelines and making things work is more than a bit of a challenge, and we appreciate them working with us while they're trying to get ready for classes and students and all the other things that they're about to head into for the fall. So if you see Dr. Mixon and his team, please do reach out and give them a thank you, because it's very much appreciated. I'll do so if more here, as long as more to be effective. They do have, in order to comply with the guidelines, some pretty stringent guidelines to meet the CDC guidelines and the Tennessee guidelines. Based on that, you're going to notice that the configuration of the meeting is a little different today than we're accustomed to. We don't have a buffet of being a grab a biscuit and a cup of coffee. That's because they require us to serve each table. We didn't find a way to effectively make that work for this morning. So I apologize for the somewhat meager condiments and so forth with regard to food and beverage, but we're doing the best we can. Also, they have a mask guideline. They would like you to wear a mask. We're going to ask that everyone continue to wear the mask through the event. We're going to make an exception for the presenters so that they can be heard and understood throughout the room. We do have a number of people going to be talking to us this morning. I want to make sure you're aware of everybody that's here. Let's see, start. Tony Pettit is with Burwell. Tony's our construction manager on the community center project, and we'll hear from him in a little bit. Sean's on this end. You all know Sean, who worked with previous projects, and he's brought with him Michael Black from Lawson Associates. Michael's here. He'll be working with some of us. We've got some punch list items to work on public works on this afternoon. With SFM, Greg's on the right here. Greg's going to lead the presentation first this morning on the community center, and Jake Whitaker is here. So that's the team we've got. That's the tip of the iceberg of the team that's going to bring these projects to fruition, but that's who you're going to hear from this morning. I did want to talk just for a minute about the format of the summer retreat. Typically, about this time of year, we find a time, we get together, we have some kind of high-level philosophical, strategic discussions, and unfortunately, given the task ahead of us, the challenges of COVID and the other things relating to that, we're really having to make a change in the format and the way we're approaching things. So this will be very different from what we're accustomed to for our summer retreat. We'll be focusing on some big projects, on some of the things we're trying to get done. And it will really feel more like what we do mid-year in January in terms of the way that the meeting will feel and flow. Right now, we have 2 of these mini retreats scheduled. That's today and 2 weeks from today on the 28th. That second meeting on the 28th is also back in this room, and we'll see if we can make fine-tuning adjustments based on our experience today. Today's focus is on quality of life. We're talking about some big projects that will have a big impact on the quality of life for our community, that being the community center, and moving forward with continuing to operate and embellish Heritage Park. So there's 2 pretty big sites that's going to take the chunk of the morning. 2 weeks from today, on the second retreat, we will be talking about an economic review. We'll be talking about the status of our local economy, our revenue stream, and what that means for our ability to do some of the things we have to defer with the adoption of the budget. That's the first part of what we want to do in 2 weeks. The second part, we'll talk about transportation projects, roads, streets, projects, state, local, trying to get you up to speed on the various things that are moving forward that take a great deal of time to come to fruition, but we'll see them where they are in terms of status. We'll be more aware of where those things stand and how we're going to get them done. After we get done with those 2, there's a laundry list of things we need to accomplish this summer and fall. And we'll talk about whether we would want to continue with this format with periodic longer meetings, morning-long meetings, to address some of those things. We want to move more to after the council meeting workshop format to work through some of those. So kind of think as we're going through, if this works for you, if this is effective, we need to tweak things, and we'll get some feedback as we go through. So by and large, we got some exciting and many projects on the table, and we're going to start off with the community center. I'm going to turn it over to Greg and his team.
Still not used to them, guys. You guys getting used to the vinyl?
It's not grass.
Can't breathe half the time. So, appreciate you guys having us here. Again, Greg Weiscarver, I'm with SFM's, the management side. So I'll be leading up the operation of the community center. So hiring the staff, putting policies in place, working with you guys to make sure this is fulfilling what you intend for it to fulfill. All right, Jake Whitaker is really over a different vision of our group, SFD, and he'll be helping with all the FF&E, procurement, filling up, an easy way to think of it is if you turn the community center upside down and shook it, all the stuff that falls out is kind of what he takes the lead on. It's not quite that clean, but close, right? And so he, myself, Tony, and Sean will be here. They're here for Q&A. As you have questions, I'll defer to some of them for their expertise because I just can't know it all, no matter how hard I try. I haven't met all of you. I know we came back and presented to the council a while back. I know everybody couldn't be there. So I just want to quickly tell you, if you don't know, I'm Morristown boy. This is a bit of a dream come true for me. Morristown West High, class of 1989. Doesn't mean I don't like East. I'm fine with them too. Growing up here, went to Manly Baptist Church for years, being ordained actually at that church, and sitting under Pastor Richard Emmert, who had such a huge influence in my life. This is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of opportunity for me that has really been ordained and my path set forward that I get to be a part of this. This is truly a treat. So if I get a little more excited, just bear with me and forgive me. This one, my coworkers have made fun of me the last few times because I won't stop talking about it. So we want to just go through some things on the community center. My purpose really is twofold here this morning. One is to talk to you as we review. We work with Sean, and Los is an amazing partner to work with. Tony's doing a great job kind of helping lead us all, coordinate us all through it. Los has done an incredible design, as always. And they have taken your requests, your ideas, and put it on paper and done a phenomenal design. When we're brought in, we're always, if we're fortunate enough to be brought in early enough, we get to look at that design and say, all right, that's a great layout. Now, operationally, if we want to maximize efficiency of the operation of the building and to maximize revenue opportunities, which part of the deal too, we always would have, hey, here's a few tweaks or changes that we recommend. And that's what you're going to see this morning, some of those changes. Toward the end of the presentation, I'll also kind of kick off our time together with SFM, Sports Facility Management, showing you kind of our process, what's next, timeline, and some next steps that we have. That said, this is your show. So if you have questions throughout, we don't have to save them to the end. Glad to take your questions, throw your hand up, interrupt me, whatever, won't offend me. And then certainly we will have cumulative Q&A time at the very end as well as a catch-all. Okay, fair enough? Any questions before I get going on that? Wonderful. So we want to make sure that we understand what's happening here in Morristown. We understand the purpose here, the Morristown approach, as you see on your screen there. We know this is built to be a hub of activity for everybody, right? Cradle to the grave, I like to say. There should be something going on here that everybody feels like that's a place for me, right? And so the programming will reflect that, the assets in the building, the amenities, all that should reflect that everyone has a place at the community center. So that's what's layered over top of any decisions or recommendations that we're making, okay? So the goals for design here, when we talk through these, these are the driving forces behind some of the recommendations we're going to make. One, certainly it's got to support the vision for today. It's got to be effective and well utilized in today's world, today's climate, right? So even amongst that, you're going to eventually, we'll get to the point where you see a lot of touchless features and things like that when we get down into the details, right? That's not going away, right? That's going to be the new norm. We want to build this place to age well over the decades. We don't want to build something for here now and 10 years from now it's outdated and feels stale, right? We want it to be set up, to be agile, and we can make changes as we go and stay on the cutting edge. So we want to have amenities there that facilitate activities for a next generation community center. This is very close, and I think we're going to get it there, to being the jewel of East Tennessee. Not just of Morristown, but of East Tennessee as a whole. This is going to be what Morristown is known for. A primary thing that Morristown is known for. This community center is going to be that high level. We get the opportunity to work with many designs, many opportunities around the country. And I'm going to tell you guys, this one, if we do it right and everything's headed that way, this one is second to none. Then part of our changes will be about streamlining for operational efficiency. Operational efficiency, first of all, so we can provide great customer service and a great experience for those that are in there, but also you get to reduce labor costs and things like that, as you guys know, pile up over time. And so we can do more with less. And then lastly, to optimize spaces to deliver financial performance, that what my goal is in every situation I have, to exceed pro forma expectations. It's great to meet them, but that's just a start for me. I want to always try to exceed what we're shooting. So with that said, let's move into some of our, and to be clear, Sean, Tony, Jake, and I, we've all worked closely together. We're all on the same page with this. There's no dissenters among the group. We get the reasons behind these, and Sean's been instrumental in helping this happen from drawings and other things. So our first recommendation would be to exchange the locations of Child Watch and the cafe in the building. All right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the recommendation, and then I'll spend a slide or two kind of zooming in on that area so you can see it better, so that you don't have to try and see it on this. The first slide is about the words. So we want to exchange those locations. Let me dive into that. As you can see here on the left of your screen, that mustard yellow, that was the Child Watch area. We're proposing that's where the cafe is. And then the orangish color on the right was the cafe. We're proposing the Child Watch to that side. The reason being is really, this is one that's all about operational efficiency. Keeping the back of house kind of together, out of the way a little bit, but still in that main flow. You know, the top middle of your screen, just for context, is the entrance, right? Everybody understand where the layout. I don't know how much you've dug through the plans and seen them and studied them, but the top center, there's the entrance. So as you come in, the cafe is still in we want it in a very visible place, but it's also quote unquote in your way as you go into the pool area. It's in your way as you go into the gym area, those doors there across from the cafe. You know, the main purposes of the building, you're going to pass by the cafe. It also allows us operationally. Now you can see that hallway down beside the cafe there, and I would point with a laser pointer, but I can't point two ways at one time. The hallway there leads straight out to the dumpster. So as we're taking out refuse and large amounts of trash, you can imagine if the cafe is where the Child Watch is now, we're hauling trash right through the middle of the facility often, right? There's no quick way to get out with it. So let me zoom in one more time here so you can see. And we've worked with Sean very closely on making sure dimensions and required square footages for Child Watch, which typically you have a younger child section and an older child section, divide those up. There'll be some play equipment and some things like that we recommend down there. But don't get hung up on the exact locations of the walls and the tables. Those are more just kind of placeholders to make you see the layout, what it could be. We'll get the exact kitchen design, back of house design honed in the coming week.
Ray, could you show where the entrance ways are to the cafeteria?
Well, this area is all open here right now, so there won't be all this seating here. That's just stuff he's dropped in. So we'll have a definite flow, an in and output.
Like an open?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And in the child care, how do you enter that?
These doors right here is where the counter stuff you would come in, and then you would drop your child off in the younger section and the older section in that. That layout may evolve, certainly.
Does the goes up to the stairway, is that a solid wall or is that a glass open wall into the child care area?
You know that here?
That would be a solid wall.
There you go. That's why the brains are here.
And
That's perfect.
if I could add one
That's
thing,
storage under the stairway?
we have a janitor's closet under the stairway. We did pay attention and really focus on when we move this child watch, or recommending moving this child watch, it still has direct line of sight from the control point, the reception desk. You're looking directly at the door and the entry point into there. So the security controls are still maintained.
There's just one way in, one way out.
Correct.
Is this cafe area, is that also if there were to be a big basketball tournament or something, would that be the concession?
It would. What we found that we're doing lately is also doing kind of mobile stands as well to serve the crowd, because as you can imagine, one place for a whole building is just slammed. So that would be the hub, but we would also take some of the most popular items and things that don't necessarily have to be made on demand and have different hubs throughout the building that we'd serve. That's what we're finding works in some of the other facilities. And with that, Mr. Pedigo, I think part of what we're balancing now, and Jake, Sean, Tony, and I are working through is what equipment really lives here, what equipment might live in the catering kitchen and serve this area too. You know, they're going to maximize the space and usage of it as well. Great. Other questions about this area? Okay. Next, we would propose to replace the front office space with a health and wellness partner. I say partner and not tenant purposefully. So right now, the design, if you guys can recall, that area right there is the offices for the facility. Typically in a facility, that is the prime real estate, right? And so you don't want to use it for really what would be considered back of house operations. The offices really can be anywhere, you know, from where you're sitting back working. Now, we're still going to have a front control desk with a manager on duty and staffing of the entrance. That doesn't change. But the back offices where cash counting goes on and some meetings and things like that, you'll see we're proposing to change that location in just a moment. But for now, focus on this area. We, I can speak to, like at Upward in Spartanburg, we had the Sports Medicine Institute that basically used that front of house. They had 3 patient rooms there. They had a full-time doctor assigned to that. They had an MRI machine. And it's different everywhere, but they had all that. They were training local college students to be athletic trainers in sports medicine, whatever. So it's a partner in that, in a typical model, yes, they would pay some sort of rent for that space, right? For however they want to use it, offices, rehab, physical therapy with a pool there, great physical therapy opportunities. You can see we've even designed that we've carved out that their own entrance into the pool. You can see that pink that heads off the screen to the left, heads over into the natatorium, the aquatics area. Let me zoom in on this real quick. There you go. So you can see that heads over the aquatics area. And out the main entrance, if you go out the community center main entrance, we're even proposing they would have their own entrance in that overhang that you come in there at the top to enter their facilities. So it offers an opportunity for us to do some cooperative things, like every event we have as part of the partnership, they provide athletic trainers for the event. So that's a reduced cost for us, for an example. So you take that in consideration with what the renting space. But it's another revenue opportunity for us. It's another give back to the community, and it's also another reason that draws a whole other group of people into the facility, right? They come in for their doctor's appointment, rehab appointment, or whatever, where they're exposed to all the amenities of the facility and what they could be using it for on a regular basis, because they might get pool access through the partner here, but they couldn't have it unless they are a member. They wouldn't have it on their own, right? They would need to join separately from that. But they're going to see the benefits of it, and certainly they're going to be asked to continue doing the rehab on their own, right, to continue that process. One You know, if I was just picking something out of the air, I'd probably throw, you know, something like that at you. Covenant Health would be a great partner to have in there. There's other options, I'm sure, but that would be the first conversation that I would want to have to talk about if there's a partnership opportunity there.
We lease that to Covenant Health, for example. That rent goes to you or it goes to the city?
Oh, it all goes to you. You're paying us a monthly management fee. So that's, doesn't matter if there's a partner in there or if there's offices in there for us. I mean,
According to what I read in the contract, it's more than just a management fee. There's all kinds of income that you all get from it.
typically, I mean, we'll have a management fee. There may be a percentage above a certain amount of revenue that then it comes to us. Like if we exceed $1 million, or I don't know the number, 500,000, million, 5 million, whatever. So, but not on individual deals is not.
Okay,
Is not.
that's what you answered.
Right.
Thank you.
I tell you what you may be referring to is sponsorship opportunities. We get a portion of sponsorship sales that we do. That I wouldn't. That's not a sponsorship
That's
sale.
my point.
No. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I misunderstood that.
So they can enter the aquatics area and then access the locker rooms once they get there.
Yes, and they would have access into the lobby space, right across from the cafe. They have a main entry off of the main plaza, their own pool access and access into the lobby if they want to go to the cafe or go to the lockers. They may have their own lockers in their space, depending on the partner that comes in.
And the restrooms, there are 2 restrooms, access to this and the paint.
Those 2 restrooms on the top there are exterior focused, so that if that splash pad comes, those restrooms will be serving the outdoor plaza, and so I have a little one. I've got about 15 seconds to get her to where she needs to be, and we're out there in the splash pad. We've got a perfect access to that.
So then these would use the locker room restrooms
Or they'll have their own.
Yeah.
They
Especially,
potentially have
we'd
their
want to
own.
have this conversation. If we get to go ahead on this, that's one of the next conversations I'd be like, all right, let's have a conversation with Covenant. And then the earlier we get them in, the more they can help customize their space.
So like lease to build.
Right.
Just out of curiosity, what is the square footage of that area?
3,000 right now. 3,000.
That's good.
It's a good tenant space.
Sure.
I don't want to ignore the left side of the room. Questions over here concerning this guy? Okay. All right. With that, where do the offices go? Well, we're proposed that we relocate the offices to the second floor of what was the shell space. And if I'm you, I would say, oh, wait, that was savings for us. We weren't going to build that out. You're going to cost me more money. I would propose to you, and Tony can probably speak to this, I think by having the tenant space, you basically are swapping it out. That's the shell space now, really. And we're going to have somebody else that's paying for that area. So basically having that partner there allows you to build this space out and make it utilized. This is a great back of house, out of the way, not using revenue production kind of space to house your staff. Do not get hung up on the details of how many offices and stuff. This is purely for show right now. We'll dive in with Sean and really show him what we need for cash counting rooms and safes and, you know, a little conference room, break room, that kind of stuff for the staff. But that's what we propose is back of house, second floor off to that shell space for offices. There do need to be something. We're not just getting rid of it.
Hey, Greg, go ahead.
So it'd be solid walls around and possibly cubicles inside.
Correct. Potentially, yeah. We'll be working with them. If we move forward with this configuration, we'll be working forward on figuring out what that office layout is. But coincidentally, that the shell space on the top level and the admin space that we had on the first floor is the same amount of square footage. So they're both 3,000 square feet. It's an even swap.
questions about this area? Thoughts?
So Greg, your staff, you'll have administrative folks up here, but you'll have other folks running programs throughout the building. Kind of, what's that mix, and what's it look like?
Yeah, this is really for our full-time management staff. We have offices here. Certainly, as a business development person, you've got people from outside the community that you're talking about different deals with and want to have meetings with. The general manager certainly has an office up there, conference room for those team meetings. But then we still have staff down at the first floor. You're going to have the people at the reception desk, the manager on duty that's up and running things. And quite frankly, in a facility like this, you spend very little time in your office. There's some of that, but it's a lot of going through the building. Director of operations is going to be out, making sure things are hopping. But this is kind of serves as home base. Where they'll spend time here is that 9 to 5. Kind of after that, but really after 3 o'clock, the place is hopping and you're out and about working on the floor there. But this is when you can get your paperwork done and budgeting and forecasting and strategies and meetings and things. This is where that'll happen. In a community center, 9 to 3 is going to be a much slower time than 3 to 10 or whatever times we put on it. Obviously after school's out and things like that. Certainly in the summer we'll have summer camps and things like that going on that'll keep the place hopping during the day. But during the school year, typically, and there is no typical now, I'm sure it'll change. I will tell you, I'm not sure, my niece goes to school there. I'm not sure if I can recall. I've heard so many school plans, I'm not sure I remember the one for Morristown, but I know in a lot of our venues, like in South Carolina, my kids go Tuesday and Thursday to school, and then they're doing online learning Wednesday and Friday, which is going to be interesting for 4 kids, 4 different grades, and they all come to me with their questions. I'm like, wait, am I thinking first grade or am I thinking 9th grade? If it's above about 4th grade, I have to call timeout, go do some research before I give an answer. I'm like, mixed fractions. I did remember that one time. Hey, Alexa, what happened? You did. But a lot of our facilities, what they're, parents still they're having to go back to work, right? But the kids aren't going back to school full time. So they're like, so we have a lot of facilities that are doing distance learning offerings where kids come into the facility, and it's daycare with organized learning, right? And there's tutors on site, and so those parents need that service right now. So that's going on in a lot of places in the country too, and that will obviously continue to evolve and change, and we'll make sure we're on the front edge of that, whatever it is. Any other questions about the office locations, space?
Greg, just to underscore, the idea of bringing in a partner tenant that has a medical facility helps enhance that overall wellness that we're trying to deal with the facility. That helps give you a foundation there that we can't deliver on our own.
That's right. That's right. It definitely sets the tone of the facility, that it's not, people get their own assumptions about what goes on there. Oh, that's a sports place or whatever. And this is going to be much, yes, there's going to be all kinds of sports and stuff, but it's going to be so much more than that. And what we find, the medical tenant will bring in, one demographic will bring in an older age group, older population, exposing that. There's going to be great amenities here for our senior adults, the walking track, the pool, so many things. I'm sure we'll have classes and different things that they'll want to be a part of and teach. And so there's just all kinds of opportunities for them, but sometimes it's just about getting in the door, right, and helping them see that. And that's what this partner can do. All right. Number 4. This is a big one we spend a lot of time on. We want to propose making the second floor membership driven and expand those amenities that we offer to membership. So that you guys are on the same page with me on this. My job, we've given you a pro forma that has some financial drivers on it. My job is to put the system in place, put the staff in place, put the programming in place to deliver and exceed those numbers. That's what I'm focused on, right? Making sure your money's well spent and whatever subsidy has to be there is minimized. So to do that, this is probably the number one effect that I can have on those numbers. Your membership line number, let's talk memberships for just a moment, because I think that's a big topic. Your membership line item on your pro forma is right at 40% of your total revenue for this facility. It is by far the most substantial line in the pro forma, like not even close, right? So there's got to be substantial membership amenities to draw those people in and get those memberships sold and people using them. We have some fitness consultants we work with, MVP, that we brought in, and they have some great metrics that they can measure, like based on the number of memberships you're going for, you need this kind of square footage, this kind of, per member kind of thing, that are just industry standards. And when we had him kind of look through this, and he's like, well, you're well below what industry standards would say the square footage you need to serve that membership base. Not just looking at year one, but looking at year 5, what we're looking to grow it to. So it's not about just the opening year, it's about having the space and amenities to grow beyond. So let me show you what that means, and then we can get into questions. So we've got on the left side there, basically that's mostly the same area. It's just been optimized. We worked with Sean. When you have exercise rooms, the more square it is, the better, quite frankly. Funky shapes and nooks and crannies don't serve you well in fitness classrooms. You just, lines of sight stuff. So we kind of squared those rooms up a little bit. There's not this long entryway that's part of the room. We've changed that around, and so we've kind of got a cleaner look for those exercise areas. There's a little nook in that bottom left of the large exercise room, but we use that for rack storage of equipment and things like that for the classes used in there. The yellow space would be kind of that member check-in, service counter, fitness service counter, and what I would propose also, we have some sort of minimal, but it'll impact the bottom line, retail component there. Any fitness area, you needed your weightlifting gloves, or you needed tape, or you needed, there's all kinds of stuff, right? I needed some more chalk, I need whatever. And I would put in just kind of a little smoothie bar area, fitness, health, drinks, and things like that because from a pure revenue standpoint, the more add-on sales, right, you can get from members and others, the better it's going to help our bottom line, right? That's in any business you guys are doing. You understand how that works. So that's what that yellow section is. It wouldn't necessarily be round. That's just a placeholder, so you guys can see that's where we drop it, where they come up there before they go in to use the equipment, which would be the fitness equipment would be to the bottom of that screen. You would go down that way to go to the workout equipment as it's designed now. On the right, we repurpose those areas. You guys can hear me when I get out from the mic. We'd repurpose those areas. One, instead of having a game room, we make that more of a fitness room, and I'm going to show you some pictures of what I'm talking about there. But fitness, the more we can offer specialized offerings, the more draw we're going to be, the more people we can speak to in the market. On the right side there, that was a multi-purpose room, just generically speaking. I would propose that those are multi-purpose fitness rooms. Certainly, there could be events held in there, but that wouldn't be its primary driver. Those would be, different fitness classes, whether it's cycle, focused on cycle, focused on health and wellness, mind, body kind of stuff. But we would offer a multitude of classes, specialty kind of offerings, and let me show you what I'm talking about here before I get there. So in a cycle class, the way you want it now is there's some screen up front, so that we're either visually riding on the road as we get up there, you're taking your mind off of it, but also there's now a lot of, the bikes can be tied into, there's different metrics that are being measured and put on that screen, right? It can be a competition, it can be measuring how you're doing it compared to that, but it kind of gamifies that experience. And the gamification of fitness is a huge, that's where everything's going, right? So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking more specialty, a specialty room like that. Also a mind-body type room for yoga, Pilates can fit into that some too, bar, you know, the ballet bar that they use for Pure Barre and things like that. But it's just a different lighting, a different aura, if you will, in the room that you kind of set up a different feel for stuff like that. And then the other thing that Jake and his team are really leading out on is helping us connect with kind of that Xer game, gamification again. So there's things like, these are just samples, not necessarily what we're being, but like the eye wall there, where two people stand, it's a piece of fitness equipment, but it's video driven. So it could be, you know, almost like an interactive video game type play, and we're in the video game generation. It's not kids, it's, you know, it's up through your 40s, that people interact with that, makes it very technology driven, makes it feel very cutting edge, easy to change out if you needed to as new technology comes. And even things like that, there are things that project images down on the floor, even in open spaces. So this is a circuit training that's projected on the floor basically, and they're taught what to do in each station, and they just, every 9 minutes they rotate, and there's a counter, the countdown is actually on the floor, counting down, so they know. So in essence, I could teach this class without an instructor, right? I could teach this video based if I needed to, right? Cost savings in instructor fees, and it makes us feel very cutting edge in what we're doing. So, but obviously that room is not taken up with a bunch of stuff, still very flexible space, right? Because it's just projected on the floor. Let me go back to this. So, let's go back here and camp out here for a second. What questions or thoughts do you have?
Give us a little more. I think we jumped across this membership thing that you're talking about.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
I'm a little confused.
Okay,
What do you,
yeah,
give me an idea of what you're talking about.
sure.
Is this gonna be, is everybody gonna be able to afford the membership?
Well,
Is this gonna be for?
The pricing will be set by the council. I mean, we'll bring ideas. We're not gonna make any decisions that you guys don't want made. I mean, that's, you're the boss. So we're gonna do, our job is like, well, based on that, here's what that means. Here's how that plays out, all right?
Well, my question is, the community center is for the public.
Correct.
So how do we distinguish an area that's for the members only? As you said, somebody needs to buy gloves. Well, everybody may need to buy gloves.
Sure.
Are they allowed to go in there and buy gloves?
Right.
Or is this for members only and everybody else has to run to Walmart?
Sure. Well, let's go high level, and again, let me say, it's gonna be what you guys tell us it's gonna be. So, I just can't say that enough. We're not making any decisions in a vacuum and saying, hey, this is how we'd like to do it.
There's a bad habit, and I'm just gonna say it, there's a bad habit in Morristown of decisions being made to do things like that, and then come back and say, council, you made the decision.
Gotcha. Well,
I just wanna understand it.
I'm not looking to pass the buck to you at all. I'm gonna I'll always give recommendations and tell you, here's what I think we should do and here's why. And then we'll decide together, and when we decide together, I'll say we decided together. and then I'll show you, based on those decisions we made, here's what it means to the bottom line, here's how that impacts operations, and we can say, we're fine with that, that's what we want to do, or not. Yes, sir.
Question. Did you say, on this thing you talked about, that 40% of the revenue of this rental comes to operations? So you said something about 40%?
I said 40% of your total revenue that's projected from the community center is from membership dues.
So 40% of the whole thing comes from that area right there.
Well, let's talk about that. I would say,
That's what I'm asking.
yes, sir, and that's what I'm going to address here. What I would propose as a starting point, a membership to me, first of all, the whole facility would not be membership driven. I would be 100% against that, because it's got to be open to everybody. If there's a membership component, there can be two levels of this. There can be like, hey, here, if you're a member, things, you know, you have access to this, and programs or whatever are like the Y, are a member rate, right? You can play in the basketball league for $20 instead of $50. I'm making up right? So membership components would be the fitness area and aquatics. Those would be the two areas that we want you to be a member to come and be a part of. Now, it's our decision to say, can a non-member come do that? We can say, well, yes. It costs more or costs different or whatever. We can do the price structure any way we want to, city, non-city, non-county, member, non-member, there's all, we can slice it every way we want to. I would say anything beyond, so that's why we're saying the second floor can be that member area, and aquatics would be part of that, just from safe and you know, safety and control would be part of that thing. But the gym, the rep, like anything there, you wouldn't need to be a member to come in the doors, for sure. We can say you wouldn't need to be a member to come to any of it, it just costs more. Or, you know, however we want to structure it. But from a membership standpoint, typically I'd be talking about fitness and aquatics. Would be what would be in a membership, and then other discounts or whatever for anything else we do, programming or otherwise. So that's the highest level, talking about the breakdown of memberships. Now, what we want to charge and how we want to break down memberships and all that, that's completely a conversation we're going to need to have together, and let me show you what that means, how that spells out to the bottom line.
You're not mentioning the use of basketball courts or?
Yeah, not as a member. I would say that's open to anybody. In our facility in Spartanburg, we have a drop-in rate. Basically, you can come if now certainly we're trying to book the events and things on the basketball courts and in that area all the times we can. But if you call down and the courts are open, which a lot of times they are, it was a $5 drop-in rate, and we opened at noon. We were open till 10, and if it was open that whole time, you want to stay 10 hours, you could. $5.
The whole group?
No, per person. Per person. And that's just a sample of ours. It can be anything we want to here. It can be
This thing you keep referring to as Spartanburg, is that a community center like we're talking about here?
It's open to the community. It's not city run though. No. It's not city run.
I need to go back, the flipping of the offices and the tenant space.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I guess I thought, in other words, if it were the hospital, they're going to decide what's going to go in there. I thought you were moving the exercise down and they were sponsoring the exercise, but that's not it. They're going to create their own physical therapy,
Yeah,
whatever.
they'll do their business out of that space. I mean, and certainly have access. They would have access. That would be worked into whatever the deal is. But I would think they'd want access to some of the fitness equipment there. They'd want access to the pool, which I would expect.
So would they have separate membership with some of the same exercise equipment, or would it just be driven for patient therapy?
I would just do it for patient therapy. I wouldn't try and control that while they've got their people coming in. You know, that there would, in most of the situations there, somebody's with that patient helping them. You know, they're not just turned loose in the facility. So they would go with them to use the facility, and at the end of their appointment, then they're done and exiting the building or going on to take advantage of the amenities as a member.
So the benefit of that is monthly lease fee you're going to pay us.
Right, and additional services that our facility affords them, and then if they can provide athletic trainers or other things, that would be other amenities there that would affect the bottom line.
Potentially, they would also then, having been in the facility, become a member.
That would be the hope, yes, absolutely.
We've done a lot of medical because the fitness area is really early in the morning. People are coming and doing gyms and doing those workout classes and later in the afternoons. It would be a conversation with that partner. But a lot of times their demand is opposite of that. It's during the day, that's when the office hours are open. So there's a lot of inventory in areas that aren't being utilized. And depending on what their needs are, there's just great partnership opportunities to utilize assets of that. It's not really that same membership programming, but then patients can sometimes utilize some of those features and not necessarily just peak times. We use that great partnership.
Absolutely.
I think that's what Fort Sanders does down in West End of Knoxville. They partner with that. So, and I thank you for that clarification, because I thought we were just flipping our exercise area and giving it to the hospital.
No,
whoever was in
for
it.
sure.
So this is still separate. So then what you're talking about is different levels of membership, and whatever you determine that is. It could be a sliding scale.
Sure. It can be anything we want it to be. so we don't, the more complicated it is, the more complicated it is. But it can be anything that we want it to be. Again, I can't say it enough. We're gonna give you recommendations, and we're gonna do what you tell us to do, what you want it done. That, we're just here to execute it at a high level.
But in your proposal though, that you work with Joey.
Sure.
It does have, you projected in there what you think the memberships need to be in order to produce that 40%.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, you can think of memberships as kind of the gold level intense users. We'll have day users, we'll have casual users, business users. There's a broad spectrum. This building is big. It's got a lot of capabilities, a lot of different folks will use it for different things. But that core intense user group puts a lot of the bill that allows us to do the things for the other groups.
And 100%, we can say, everybody can come here anytime, and here's the fee, whatever. It can't all be free, but here's the fee. But with the membership, you basically pay for your membership in 3 visits. So if you're gonna plan on coming, you might want to consider becoming a member of it, because it lowers the fee or whatever. I mean, we can structure it any way.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear right there.
Yeah.
You just clarified the whole thing. I'm looking at it from the standpoint of how am I gonna read this in the paper tomorrow? And what I was hearing was that if you want to be a member, we've got another country club coming.
No.
Because you're gonna be able to do all these things, and if you're not a member, then you're not gonna be able to use the aquatic center, and you're not gonna be able, the only thing you're gonna be able to do is come in and play basketball. That is not the case.
That's correct.
Anybody, any taxpayer, anybody in this city, this county, anybody in this community, at whatever rate we decide it has to be,
Sure.
is welcome to come to this place. It's not, this is not a Planet Fitness,
That's right.
where if you come to the door and you don't have your card, you can't come in.
That's correct.
Everybody will be able to come in. Now, there may be fees involved because
Sure.
it's an expense
Right.
that the taxpayers are paying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Spot on.
That clarifies.
Spot on.
Yeah.
There are levels of that
There
membership.
are levels of
Yeah,
that.
any levels we want, whatever, however we want to divide it up, that's completely, and certainly we'll bring recommendations to, and what
Well,
that means to you.
and what I'm getting at is, you referred earlier that this membership section over here that you could come into if you needed gloves. It was almost like we were saying, okay, we've got one level up here, but we've got another level down here. Everybody can use the facility.
That's true.
At a fee.
That's right.
If you
That's
want,
right.
if you want that fee to be a membership that you just pay and use it all the time,
Right.
that's,
And really, the difference is gonna be the second level being fitness, safety-wise, second level and aquatics, there's just gonna be some other things that people need to go through to use it, right? We don't want to come in and just go hurt yourself, right? Like, there'll be some things that we'll want to encounter with people instead of just them paying some money and they go up there and start doing whatever they do, right?
Tony, you need to start planning bus routes.
Yes,
To the community
yes,
center.
we've already mentioned that. As soon as we get the bus system up and running, this will need to be a stop.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, sir.
What I'm gathering from Councilman Center and Councilman Pettigill's comments is for the operation of this thing to be understood by everybody before the operation of this becomes a nightmare. And right now it is.
The operation of it tonight?
Nobody knows what the hell is going on. Struggling with it. That's what I take from it. I don't know what anybody else takes. So that's why they're asking those questions.
Yeah.
People can make that not happen.
To me, this is the right time to be asking. I mean, we're,
It's always the right time.
yeah, well, we're far enough out, we can make it whatever we want to make it. We haven't made any commitments that hurt us, by making any changes to any numbers or anything like that, so.
well, bottom line is, we're getting ready to go to the moon. Nobody's ever been to the moon before in this community.
Right.
And we don't know what it's gonna be like, we don't know how we're gonna get there, but we've got to make it go, because it's something that no other area around us has this.
Absolutely.
And it's gonna be the envy of and we wanna make it the envy of the community.
That's right.
Not only our community, but all communities around us.
Amen.
Now,
We want them to come.
If you're going to the moon, you better make sure you know what direction for the snow.
But when you're thinking of users, you know, there's a level of user that wants to go walk around the walking track. You know, the folks like me that just need to get some steps in and go, that's a level of casual user versus somebody that's involved in this more intense membership area that's going to do CrossFit, bicycle training, and classes and Pilates and all the other things. That's a more intensive use, brings more resources to bear, there's a higher cost to it. But we're not cutting anybody out, we're just trying to make sure the facility serves the needs of the community and provides the resources necessary to operate the facility.
Perfect.
You know, Tony, maybe I'm agreeing too, maybe we don't call it second floor membership. I think, you know, that sounds exclusive.
No,
That's
I
what
wouldn't
Tom-
call it that.
Well, that was sort of the way it seemed to be introduced.
Yes, no, we wouldn't name it that. This is just to help you guys understand what the approach we're proposing there. No, second floor is it's really the fitness level. I mean, it's quite frankly what second floor is, bottom line. But that's where, safety-wise and stuff, that's where you have, you know, the key fobs or something to get in the door. You know, it's not, you don't want the kids to be able to have access to just run there and hurt themselves or something. So there's just a different level of security, if nothing else, and access points for the second floor is what we're saying, as opposed to trying to control that by also having a game room up there. That, yes, the kids do need to come up to that, but they don't need to be right down the hall in this other section and things like that.
I see, member check-in is on the first floor.
Yes, there's the
Okay.
front area, well, there's a member check-in on the second floor, but there's a reception desk that they can come in on the first floor. We're gonna make it as easy as possible for people to just come in and not have to speak to somebody every time they come in.
I don't know if anybody else was doing it. I was putting that as a special member check-in to give them this fitness areas. That's not the case. This is the main downstairs.
No, this is the second floor. You're right. Your first thought, this is the second floor here. There's a reception area in the first floor for everybody, right? But the fitness area, this doesn't, and that's just a label. It doesn't have to be where they check in. They may check in on the first floor, but this is a fitness help desk, smoothie bar, the equipment, like, you know, retails. It's just retail. Anybody can come. I wouldn't care if you remember or not. If you want to come pay us for some gloves, you can come pay for some gloves. Now, we may even have members get 20% off all retail. I mean, we can do whatever we want to when we want to push membership amenities.
And what we found is the upstairs, the fitness areas are the areas that tend to have just additional operation costs, fees kind of associated with it. Because fitness users tend to be people who go on a regular basis. They're the ones who usually see the benefit in paying a membership for that reason. So they tend to be more members of fitness-based user groups because that's where they're getting the value, because they're not a repetitive user who's going all the time, and they're rather paying, you know, whatever fee to operate, you know, as they go, they tend to just be more of that membership base. So that's why I think that upstairs fitness is related to that, but they're unrelated from the point that you guys are making as far as anybody still has access to it.
Membership is kind of based on what level you want to participate,
That's right.
and that's what you pay for.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll make it as clean. I'll be a proponent to make it as clean as we can make it, you know, less confusing for everybody.
Greg, do you have a software application for managing memberships and collecting money?
We do, yes, sir. We have a overall, and we can vet others, but we have one that we feel like is kind of the industry leader as far as the overall management software of the whole facility. And then, like anything, there's little add-on packages that are key toward fitness and meet all the requirements for the ongoing draft and things like that you in a membership component.
Is there any advertising component to that, you know, to attract people, either newspaper, website, radio?
For the membership?
Yeah, for drawing members.
Well, we'll have a full marketing push, and we've got a full marketing department that, and in fact, some stuff I'll show you, kind of a sample membership campaign that we've done in some other areas to kind of do, but social media, TV, market, any way that can be marketed, we'll be marketing that push. Because what typically happens in a membership component, you'll have a pre-sale, right? Before the place is even open, go ahead and get this, you can get it at a cost, you never get it again, right? I mean, that's a normal model is, somebody go ahead and sign up now before the doors open. That way we know when doors open, we've got a revenue base that's already hitting and we've got people using the facility from day one.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I was trying to see where it's coming.
You know, I've seen all these really nice places that you built, and I know that you're saying that the council is going to make the decision on the membership. But based on your experience with this type of place, about where would the membership, how much would it cost?
That's a great question. Every community is different, so it can be all over the place. I would say there's different levels of membership so that you can hit every, economic opportunity, right? So I don't think it's, a good model is like the Y, right? You pay to be a member of the Y. They have different levels too. I mean, it could be $20 a month. You could have a premier all access something for $50 a month, and it gets you all these discounts. It'll be whatever we want it to be, and whatever economics makes sense for this area. It's got to be specific to Morrison and their, the economic status there, average income, all that good stuff, to make sure it works.
Yeah, I would think we're going to have to take into account city taxpayers pay debt service on the facility. They get a break over county.
Right.
County probably gets a break over those that are outside. We can look at ways we can have low-income people with special needs that we can provide a break to and some incentives to. There's a wide range of things that we can look at and explore as we get into it, but we need kind of the bones to build that stuff on. But all that will come back to council. We'll have a detailed discussion about what we're trying to incentivize, who we're trying to get in the facility, and how we generate the revenue to make it work.
And one thing that helps with that, the software that we use for managing the facility, I can literally take Google Maps or whatever and click on, hey, if they're in city limits, here's the pricing structure. So when we take their driver's license or whatever and put it in, that automatically pops up. Or if they're in the county limits but outside the city, here's the pricing structure. Or if they're outside the county, we can divide it by map where the system automatically pops it up and knows what structure's where, if that's something we want to do. Okay. Sean, you've been quiet a long time. You got anything to add on this?
I want to, I'll just mention, and I'll take the mask off so I'm not muffled. This upstairs area that we're looking at, the rooms that we're proposing that were multi-purpose are still multi-purpose. They're still open rooms. There's nothing specific that's going to prevent it from being used if there's a specific event or something that the city wants to host in these rooms. These rooms will be programmable rooms for fitness classes, operations, and I think what Greg was trying to convey is enhancing that membership experience to draw more membership. You want to drive membership. So all the rooms are still multi-purpose and still flexible, but they're going to be geared more towards being flexible for fitness as well, so if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, to the degree that we actually will be very cognizant of the schedule and what's programmed in that area, because it's above the large community room below. So what we won't have happen is a bunch of weights popping and loud music going while there's some nice event going on. That won't happen. We'll program it accordingly and adjust for those events. Okay.
First aid, built room anywhere, first aid?
We probably partner with the health system to provide that. Certainly, we have a low-level first aid kit and things for employees in the employee area, but we try not to go too far with that. Just all right. Showed you those. Coming down the home stretch here, a couple more. So we recommend replacing the climbing wall area and bowling area with a cliff and climb feature as opposed to the climbing wall feature. And this is purely a revenue recommendation. The revenue will be much higher on a clip and climb model than it will bouldering and climbing wall. The point here is, from the road, the way the design is now, which I love the design, you've got kind of that glass area over there in front of the pool, right? You're gonna be able to see to that. You're gonna see the water slide. You're gonna see some incredible features there. We got this glass area over here that's gonna kind of show off this area. And from the road, I just want you to imagine from the road, as you look into this area, into the climbing area, seeing, you know, the colors that pop here, the different, and we talked about the different features here. But there, I mean, the clip and climb stuff, first of all, it's not just for kids. It's fully used by adults, and all we have in several venues. Birthday parties now get booked off the charts. That's another birthday party feature. I'm gonna have birthday parties going on in the pool, in the clip and climb area, and on the courts for a sports themed party. We're gonna be running 3 parties at a time, right? 3 birthday parties at a time. And it's just a more wide-ranging draw. The climbing wall and bouldering is a very specific target market to hit. You've got to kind of be into that to really do that on an ongoing basis. A lot of maintenance to change out the hands, like the path has to change often to get people to come back. It can't be the same every time. So it's a chore. Let me tell you, we had the climbing wall at our facility, and I can tell you it definitely was the least revenue per square foot area by far over an empty classroom. By far that we had, to the point that 3 years in, we scrapped it and put some arcade games in there just to have something going on in that space, because just nobody used it. It has to be heavily manned and all that stuff too. Whether people are in there or not, you got to staff it to. This will have to be staffed, but it'll be busy. It'll be going on all the time. And this creates, again, the community center additionally as a destination. It's a Friday night, sitting at home going, what do you want to do tonight, guys? I tell you what, let's go down to the community center and do the climbing stuff. That would be awesome. Let's go do that. And it's hard to do that, like as a family. Like, let's go shoot some basketball. Like, okay, maybe a few, but usually the family's not going to come down and shoot basketball, right? This is something the family can do together, engage in. They're not going to do the fitness. They can do the pool together. They can do this together. It's just another family component to the facility as a whole.
If I may, Greg, you may recall that I think it was back in January I came up and gave kind of an update presentation to the design. And I presented that this new system was coming out, and it's been very successful since then. And Greg and his team have been really looking at the success of this system. So it's still a climbing component. I know that was very important to the council and to the city for this project, but I think the level of energy and the brightness and the activity is going to have even more of a wow effect from the road. Originally, we were looking to provide a kind of a natural look, natural rock wall, look like a real cliff. I think this just ups that level of excitement and energy for the kids and for the adults too. I mean, they've got different levels, if I'm not mistaken, of different types of puzzles, and there's a lot you can do with these systems. It's very flexible too. I believe you can switch these out a lot quicker, and they're constantly developing new types of.
Would you go back to that picture then?
Yeah. Let me know when I get to the right one. Is that or no?
So a lot of one that you were looking in, out from the outside, you were looking in.
That one?
That one.
Yes.
Why is there a Home Depot bucket in the window?
I have no idea, buddy. That's a good eye. That's a good
Is it
eye.
really Home Depot time?
It's not part of the amenity.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe there was rocks in that bucket or something.
No, we'll take every sponsorship opportunity that comes.
They should. They should. Yeah. No, somebody's cleaning the windows or something. I don't know why that's a good eye.
So a lot of these elements have different features and puzzles and stuff. I'm not sure if you guys have had the experience or have been walked through, but you know, there's sometimes little buttons you have to push on your way up, or a little piece of a puzzle that you have to kind of follow. They're kind of themed, so they engage people who aren't necessarily, you know, normally not find out rock climbing in just a lot of different ways. So we found it very beneficial still giving the same physical exercises, but it's not as intimidating in a lot of ways as, rock climbing can be.
I like that, that you can rotate those.
Yeah,
That's good.
for sure. We can keep it fresh. And I mean, to me, if you can imagine coming in the front entrance, you got the check-in there, whatever, but to your left now, this is past the sitting area, this is to your left. I mean, it's just popping off the page. And just another huge amenity for the facility. This sets us up, again, revenue-wise and just, I think, family usage.
I think the terminology used is great. It's a destination.
Like Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, it's a place to choose to go as a family.
The birthday party business is very lucrative business. Very.
That's right. And that's something we'll have a big focus on. Like, again, you can run a minimum of 3 at a time, and probably more, depending on what the teacher would want to be a part of. I mean, the pool could hold more than 1 at a time, quite frankly, it's large enough. All right, and I think this is my last one coming up before I shift focus into, am I good on time, guys? Good, okay? All right. So the last recommendation would be to reallocate the specific use of a computer room to a multi-purpose and to convert one of the multi-purpose rooms to a boardroom kind of setup. Now, if somebody's near and dear about the computer room, know that in this day and age, absolutely, we can, if we have a need for that and use for that, we can get 10 laptops and set them up in a room, and it's a computer room now. But we wouldn't allocate having a room specifically built out as, used exclusively as a computer room. There's just too much flexibility that you can still accomplish that with. So right now, I don't know if I can point it out. You see the 4. There's multi-purpose. Well, I've got a better view than that. Here we go. Let's see. A1024 right now in your plans is listed as computer room. We're saying let's just make that multi-purpose. It can be used for computers if that's a need that we have and want to have that there. But the multi-purpose rooms, A1024 and A1023 on the left, there'd be a removable divider between them. So basically you'd have 1 big room or 2 small rooms. These would be used as birthday party rooms as well during birthdays, things like that, or community rooms for when the Boy Scouts want to have a meeting here, or Weight Watchers, or whoever can come in and rent those spaces. And then on the right, same kind of setup where you can divide it or not, but the top half, we're saying let's make it a little more executive feel. I think people use the airport or other places right now, but kind of that official boardroom that we can go after higher level meetings, companies that want to have, like a retreat, something like this. Maybe, obviously there'll be a capacity in the room, but natural light in that room to have a really nice meeting area with a boardroom feel, because you've got many multi-purpose rooms that we can set up everywhere you want to, but have one that's a little more corporate feel, would just open a different market revenue stream. So questions about?
What's the size of that room?
The boardroom, 583 square feet, I believe is what it says there. So not a huge, it doesn't need to be a huge space, but not tremendous.
Greg, you're gonna have to put special wiring in for the computer room. Is that gonna be permanent, or are you gonna move stuff in and out of it?
The special wiring.
Well, what we're proposing is, instead of having a dedicated computer room or computer lab, as we had originally, to not have that be just a computer room. Have it be a multi-purpose room, once again, maximizing flexibility, and if you needed the computer components, if you said on Tuesdays and Thursdays or whatever, the computer room is set up, you just bring in your tables and set out the computers. So what we're proposing is to not build a dedicated computer lab with all the special wiring and everything, something a little bit more flexible, and it wouldn't be permanent, desktop
So it would be
computer.
landline plug-in
Right.
type that you're talking
I was
about.
gonna say, you're gonna put Cat5 cabling in or just do wireless routers?
Yeah, we'll study that, and look, most of the time wireless routers are gonna be able to serve, the laptop and the needs that we would have for that. But obviously, we wanna plan for the infrastructure as we need, especially as we look to the future. You never know when there might be a small esports event or competition or something utilizing a room such as this. So we'll plan for that sort of infrastructure to allow for it, but it is, as wireless continues to grow, you can get quite a bit of bandwidth on wireless activities.
Yeah, and so know that we won't want to compromise on bandwidth and things like that. I mean, the facility's going to run on it. I mean, so many systems and things, bandwidth is going to be huge. The infrastructure of that. Esports is another opportunity. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but that's really taking off. Basically competing in video games is simplifying that. But professional sports teams are investing in it, millions. I think next year every NBA team will have an esports replica of their own team where they have a draft and everything. They have 5 players to play the NBA video game, full sponsored gear and everything against the other teams. Fans come to watch them compete on big screen and stuff. And actually the esports basketball players for those teams get paid the same as the minor league actual players in the G League do. So if nothing else, that tells you there's money there, right? They're not pouring that in just because it's a sweet thing to do. They're able to leverage that. And a couple of our venues are actually being outfitted with esports competition rooms that will be set up in a permanent fashion to compete against others. All right, coming down the home stretch here. So let's talk next steps and timeline. And this is, Tony, I want you to be able to speak kind of what you're helping coordinate all of us, just kind of what's coming next, what can we expect, and what do you, if there's anything you need from this group.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for allowing Burwell to be part of this team. We're very, very excited about it. Kind of jealous that I'm in Jefferson County. Interested in seeing what the fee would be for halftime.
We'll touch you.
Even though I'm not going to be doing it. But our role in this team is Burwell Construction's role in this team is to kind of quality control and responsibility of quality and schedule and safety. And we're going to monitor this. We've already spent umpteen weeks reviewing drawings. We've produced a constructability report. Dr. Joy distributed that to you. It's kind of boring, but it's important. And we clean up the drawings and try to eliminate back-end change orders as best we can, and review those very thoroughly. And we'll do that one more time as we come to the end of the design before they go out to bid. To allow us to clean up the drawings, hopefully eliminating most of the change orders. And our goal would be, if we don't even want to change orders, we want to add more amenities by your decision rather than, we left something out. So that's our key goal. We hope to earn our fee right there. Timeline, Lois is going to clean these drawings up if we get approval from you guys or not or something. I don't know what you're asking for, Tony, but whatever we're needing here, we go away from here, finish up our drawings, and allow us to get those back on the street and bid. And as quickly as we can with the right quality of the documents we have to make sure we've got the sign. We got several qualified contractors already in place right now that's interested. They're calling me every 2 weeks. All right, when's your drawing going to be out? When's your drawing going to be out? And so we're building up that excitement. The other good news is yesterday we did a job and we had probably the best subcontractor participation that I've seen in probably 2.5 years. So this is a good time to get this thing in the market and bid it. I think we're going to get a lot of competitive driven pricing just because of the reason we're in a mass today. And so that's important. So we'll work hand in glove with Lowe's and SFD here, and we're going to
make sure that we coordinate all the FF&E and get that working right. We'll schedule out when we should have, somebody was talking about groundbreakings this morning and then opening up. And as we lead up to the opening up, that we get real busy again, making sure that the construction's on schedule with the contractors and that we are hitting those timelines and we're ready to open when we're supposed to open. And, that's what I see as timeline.
No, that's great. And then we're getting out, for site prep and things like that.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to get a civil site out in time before winter hits. And we'll try to do the grading there, and I'm trying to time that in the fact that we could almost not quite sign that contract with County Works, we approved contractor for the site development. At the same time, we're receiving the bids on the other part. We're still working out when that time happens. But that way, before we sign this subcontract agreement, we kind of know where we are on our budgets. And that's what we're trying to do, make sure that we all know as best we can where we are before we sign our first subcontract, or we got more work to do to the budget. So that's coming along, and hopefully I can get them going in the fall. We're trying to work with yes, sir.
The contractor that is awarded this project, he will ask for submittals, shop drawing for the project. He will be the one that asks for it.
Well, he's required to submit this.
Yes, that's right, part of his contract.
Yes.
And you're going over those submittals and shop
I'll
drawings
review them also.
after he's already done.
He reviews them, I'll look at them, and quickly turn them around. And if they're a lot out, and we may simultaneously look at them. I'm gonna look at them, compare them to what our spec is, make sure they're
You're going to review the submittals and shop drawings that he receives from his supplier.
his subcontractors and suppliers. But he has responsibility of reviewing those. I'm gonna track time, look at the submittal, but I'm expecting him and his consultants to make sure that it's in line.
And you'll be able, your experience, you'll be able to tell us how much the bids will be for this project.
I'm trying to do that, yes.
I can tell you exactly, between 7 and 6 and 7. 27 million and 7 million, somewhere.
No, Zach.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You are.
Spot on.
What is your goal for us to be able to see in the spring? You're starting.
Spring of 22.
Spring of 21.
Spring of 21. Spring of 21, we better have the foundations going on right now. And the structure still may be up then, or just started at the spring of 22.
So it will be starting with the grading this fall before winter.
Hope so, yeah.
So you'll beat that weather, so then as soon as it's pretty, then in other words.
Sometime, I think in February, I've been in contracting when I was, actually it's been a long time. I went at a school of architecture, but I did a couple years here, school of architecture. And then I went into construction, so I've been here a long time. And I found out between January and February, you're gonna have 2 weeks of good weather, and the rest of it's just gonna be struggle. But sometime in February, and in March, it gets kind of pretty. It could be wet, but it gets kind of pretty. Sometime in February, I expect us to start opening up foundations for concrete. So in the spring, early spring, I expect us to have maybe some structural steel being fabricated.
So you
Did I
can-
answer that question?
Yes, so you can tell something's going on, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's coming out of the ground, it's gonna bloom.
They can tell you I'm as impatient as can be right now.
He's doing his job, pushing us.
So today then, when we leave here, you're going to take it that we have said, check this box, and you're gonna go with the designs. Is that what I'm hearing?
So,
Go ahead.
I would say that what we're proposing today were the 6 design changes. Those are, we're hoping those are the last design changes that we're gonna use with your blessing. If that's what, if you guys are in agreement, and we're gonna use that to finalize our drawings. We're gonna do, Michael Black that I brought along, our civil engineer. He is, gonna be the first package that's gonna go out for the grading and site work. In the meantime, I'm gonna be finishing up the building and submit that for permit and codes reviews and start working on getting all those sign-offs so that as soon as the site package bid comes in, we'll be ready, we'll be within a week or two, it is the goal to know kind of what the building bids are gonna start looking like so that we, before you guys sign the first subcontractor, you can know what the overall package looks like.
So they go through Tony then, before you go out, is that right? No?
Tony is your checks and balances.
So that's after they come back?
Right, so I'm gonna be taking it through permitting, get everything approved with your codes department. As soon as we got sign off there, we'll be ready to take that to bid. So that's kind of the next step is finish up the drawings with these design changes, go in for permit and codes review, and then we'll be ready to bid the work.
When we're doing permitting and code review, I intend to do another constructability report, just to make sure we got all our details that we need to build it. We want our contractors, and more importantly, your subcontractors, to be comfortable and confident in these drawings. And in turn, that makes them more, more competitive, aggressive. But thank you. And then we also want to do that to help us clean up anything that we potentially left off, so we don't have to deal with any kind of change orders or missed things. So we try our best to do that. Now, that's a very difficult job for a contractor or an architect to catch everything, but that's our goal, to try to catch it. There could be something slip by. I hope it's not big. I hope it's a tweak, but that's just the experience that I have. You try your best to get the quality right. And we've done that once, and then we just want to go back and check it.
And the purpose of my question is, any change after today, after we leave this meeting today, is a very expensive change.
It's not that maybe, but it's more about the timeline. We're really focusing on trying to get that site work going before winter. That's the goal. So we don't really want any changes from this point because that's just going to extend the overall project schedule.
Yeah, we're all on board with that. We're not gonna come back and, what would be cool? We've done our review, and these are our recommendations that we're passing. It's important to note too, to stay on that timeline, we have not made any recommendations that change the footprint of the building. We've worked within the existing footprint, we gotta say, let's knock that all out, it's just interior changes.
You haven't changed any structural elements of the project. You know, you may have a chase, a mechanical chase or something that's a little different, but now's the time to get that done and get it over with. But as far as the structural and components and how they're laid out and everything, there were good changes. I mean, it makes the facility work better. This wasn't a detriment to the schedule, other than the fact that we just need to kind of check that box, as you said, and get going.
So that's why it was good that you came on, SFM came on, when you did, that you all support.
Yes, ma'am. That's the goal, for sure.
Thank you.
Shifting real quick, the last few things I have is just kind of kicking off that why SFM is here and what we're going to be working on, so that you know kind of our plans and deliverables early on. So that you guys know, we work off we have a project management style timeline that actually I got to build for our company, so I'm very familiar with it. Helped design that one. But it has different key sections, and I'll show it to you here real briefly, and can dive in deeper with any of you that are into that. But I don't want to bore you with it if you're not. But you know, everything from planning and legal setup, marketing and branding is a huge thing for us. Hiring and training of staff, the systems we use, business development, all operational processes and procedures, standard operating procedures, programs and events, and then just general operations. So let me show you real quick if this works right here. There you go. Let me stop my presentation. Let's see if this one shows. Takes a second to see the downloads. All right, right there. Don't worry about being able to read all the detail. Again, I can get you into it a little more if you want to see it a little more. But the point here is, let's see if I can see this. Well, here's the point. You guys can see the sections here. So I've got a tool here that's got everything from planning, and once we've completed that section, when I check it off, it's very satisfying. When I check off a line, it goes gray. We know that section's done, right? So, but we got planning, we've got legal entities set up. I won't read you all of it. The point is here, we've got all these different things that have a start and finish date. And quickly, I've adjusted one just so you know. Our whole staff, as we bring on a GM, operations director, any of these people, our staff at home office are assigned these tasks. And once a week, if something is overdue, the start date turns red, right? And once a week, an email goes out to anybody that's got red from me saying, hey, here they are, each one. Tell me what's going on, why it's late. Sometimes there's a reason why it's late. They're held up by something, that's fine. But I want to know you're on top of it. It turns green if it's due to start within the next 7 days. Email goes out for all those items to everybody on this list, our office and otherwise, reporting to me saying, we're ready. We know that's coming. We're prepping this. So we can stay on top of this. So just quickly, as you can see down through here, we've got this whole hiring timeline of different people. And what's important to know, I've tried to optimize something like this to save us money, quite frankly, because all the hirings are tied into a grand opening date, for example. So whenever we're opening, whatever we think it is, and heaven forbid something happens through the winter, whatever, we've pushed it a month, or what, who knows, I can simply adjust that date, and now my hiring is all tied to that date, so it automatically tells me I have to delay that much longer before you hire that position and save the salary that much. So everything's tied together, it all dominoes together. All the general manager responsibilities are tied off of their hire date. Operations do the same thing. So it's all interlinked to work together. So just high level topics here, so that you guys kind of know what we're doing. We're freezing up the computer now. All right, there we go. So that's the hiring section. We've got operations support development, so that's the finance section, setting up financial procedures, and obviously we'll tie into whatever the city wants to see on that too, and report per your guidance. Going through insurance, IT systems, operational procedures, management procedures, food and beverage. This food and beverage section is huge. All the checks and balances there. Operational service contracts, booking process of booking events and how I'm training these people, sponsorship sales, how we value every asset in the building down to the dime of that's what that sponsorship is worth for that area. That we'll go through trade shows and things that we'll be a part of, developing sports programming and or events, as we're called to do on that, camps and programs, birthday party packages, family entertainment, which is that clip and climb section, on down into marketing and branding. Again, I won't read them all there too, but what I want you to see is now we're heading down into facility prep for operations, the deep clean, the training, all of our trainings, HVAC or otherwise, we'll video those trainings, so if staff turnover happens, we've got the next person, we've got their training material, original training ready to go, into grand opening, where we'll have a soft opening where the staff first moves to the building, then we'll have a grand opening event for the public where we'll want thousands there, hopefully COVID forbidding that. But I think there's 500, close to 600 different tasks, and these are not all inclusive, but they're all assigned to somebody. We all have our bite, and I'm the one managing the whole process, and it comes back to me. So all I want to do is really show you the level of detail that we're going to go into between now and opening, of making sure all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted. There's pricing decisions in here that will come back to you, and really what will help us make sure this stays on time is if the structure, from my standpoint, if the structure is I can have point people like Joey and Tony that I can just run stuff by, or the easy stuff, and then they can say, yes, that's good. Now, all these things, let's bring that to council and get them involved. And you don't want to know if we're using 1-ply or 2-ply toilet paper, maybe. I don't know, maybe you do, but But then we just keep things moving and rolling, because as we get closer, things start picking up pretty fast. But we want you involved on all the major decisions that set policies, procedures, pricing, all those things. You're all welcome to be involved in any and all of the decisions, but I'll be bringing GM candidates to be vetted. I'll say, hey, here are my final 3. You guys can be involved in talking with them, interviewing them, seeing who's the right fit. So really, as much there's nothing hidden from you. You're welcome to be involved in any and all of it, but I also don't want you to feel burdened by it either. That we can keep things moving.
Do you really think that it's a smart move on your part to be in charge of something in your own hometown this enormous?
I don't know. I was never never accused of being too smart. Probably. I don't know.
You did go west.
I did go west. I don't know. I sure am excited about it. Maybe naively so. Maybe I'm being naive, but I sure could be more excited.
Revenge delayed.
So that's the timeline. Just wanted to kind of expose you to the tool, if I could. Last few slides that I have here, and I know we'll take a break, I assume, a bathroom break or something here. So I'm the reason we're being held up. So from our big push, early on, it's all marketing stuff. That's where we'll have a marketing project coordinator. Her name's Ariel. She is dedicated to this project that I'll help manage her time and usage there. But we'll have kind of that brand interview, trying to create what this brand feels like. I don't know. Either you're into marketing or it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo. I know there's 2 sides to marketing, right? But I'm a big marketing fan, and I get neck deep in it. So we want to have kind of that ideation, creation. What's marketing going to look like here? This is a big one that I want you to get out of this one. I'm going to advocate to you that we need to create a brand and logo for this venue. I'm going to advocate to you that it doesn't need to be the Morristown Community Center. That we can make it a little more cutting edge, a little more name friendly, a little more resonation. I'm not saying we take Morristown away and it's not ours. I don't say that at all. Let me show you some examples before you either turn on that idea or off that idea. So these are some different brands that we've created over the years. These are not all of them, but these are some of them. So as an example, Bridgeport, West Virginia. When we started engaging with them, they were building the Bridgeport Indoor Sports and Recreation compound, complex. I don't know. It was, I couldn't say it all, right? And I'm going to tell you, nobody is going to call it that, right? They're going to shorten the name to something. And I'm saying, let's own what that is. Let's do it for them, where we can have a marketing tool that really we can play with and do some really cool things and get it to resonate in the community. So, it doesn't say Bridgeport, but it's the bridge. So everybody knows, right? It's the bridge, right? It's Bridgeport, right? So that logo, the bridge, can be used more ways and in more marketing taglines and connections. We're the bridge to this, where this meets this. You know, come to the bridge. There were so many things to do with that. It was just spot on and took the marketing to another level, as opposed to using the Bridgeport Indoor Sports and Recreation Facility or whatever it was, right? So we know this is not a sports complex, right? I would not advocate for that being the name. Sports will happen there, but a lot of other stuff does too. So, and that's not new to us. We've got the Hoover Met Complex. We've got the Rocky Mountain Event Center. We've got the Champion Center at Fox Cities. So Civic Park. All those have major sports components to them, if not fully, quite frankly. But they're not named that way, right? So I'm not coming to you with a name. I'm coming to you to say I would like to go through the process of working through that and having some potentials to present to you to see if anything latches on. That's part of our process. It doesn't cost any different, doesn't cost any extra, just as part of our services. I would like to have that freedom to bring some options to you. And certainly open to your input as well.
Call it the Hurricane Center.
Hey, that's fine with me. I have no problem with that. No problem.
That's east side, he was west side.
Yeah, that's the opposing team. But not anymore, not anymore. I don't still go to west, I'm okay. But any questions on that? Does that resonate, or does that ruffle any feathers the wrong way to even go that, to have that option?
I think it's a great idea.
And with that, you're talking about colors too, aren't you?
For sure, and that's where we've been looking for guidance. You know, Bridgeport, I should have put their city logo is black and red. We stayed with their city color scheme. I know you guys are
Yeah.
working on that right now. maybe?
Let me interject, I know we've got some time constraints, but we expect to bring you some concepts of rebranding for the city next month. We anticipate blending those two, making them compatible and part of an overall package as we go forward. So I think that's going to, timing is going to work out well.
Obviously, there'll be an orange checkerboard involved. I think that's the non-negotiable. Real quickly, guys, I want to show you, there's a couple slides here on a sample membership campaign we did at Sand Mountain Park. This is a Parks and Rec facility in Albertville, Alabama. So this is not new to us to have a city-owned membership component in a facility. This is not a new concept that we're tackling. So they wanted the campaign. We had an initial pre-sale goal of 700. This is actually going on right now. The facility's not open yet, right? It is about to open. So this is real time. So a multimedia campaign, to your point, Al, is it Al?
Yes,
Yeah. So Al talked about marketing. Certainly we had digital ads, organic and also paid social ads, billboard, radio, sales collateral that we were handing out, being out at community events there. As you can see here, you know, we're talking digital ads, banners on different sites in the city, membership video that we produced to kind of get people pumped up about being involved as a member, the social, organic, and paid tracking. And then I want to focus just real quick on the membership guide. So that's a little square brochure that folds out. This is what I'm focused on, the membership guide here. Let me show you the middle of that. So it folds out, and it's got a place about aquatics and talking about that amenity. It's talking about the classes in fitness. Now they have tennis at there, so that's why tennis is in the top right. And then it even has things like the different, you don't have to be able to read it, but it's got different membership levels, right? And what components of those levels. Now it doesn't have the pricing in there. They're probably still landing the plane on that, or maybe they want to just be able to have the conversation and not just put the pricing in the brochure. But, so you got a premier that includes everything. You got the championship level membership that includes most things, and then you got, you know, the tennis elite level up there that's just a tennis membership. So we could have, for example, an aquatics only membership, or a fitness only membership, or a, you know, whatever. So basically, you can see there is they went 3 membership tiers. That's pretty clean and simple, and it's going to be something I advocate for. Like, let's keep it as basic as we can and not put a lot of different hoops to jump through to figure that out. Okay. And the last one on that, just we'll have, you know, these pop-ups like that we'll use out in the community. You know, the campaigns promoting the facility. Our website, we're building a full website to go along with that, obviously, to promote everything and people be able to register and interact with the facility through that. And we'll have a sponsorship guide to engage the community on how they can partner with us to be sponsors for different areas or different programs, whatever. But all that to say, everything we've talked about, we come back the same way we started. We know this is what it's about. And so the decisions that we make, the ideas that we put before you are always going to have that layered over the top of it and make sure it fits, that it's for everybody here. There's a place here for everybody. This is not the country club. This is not exclusive to anybody. There's a place for you here. So that is my last slide. If you have any other catch-all Q&A during this time for Sean, Jake, Tony, myself, I'm glad to answer them. And Jake and I know we're staying through the rest of the meeting. We'll be here after the end of it if you have further questions. Questions now?
Could you just do a quick summary of the 6 components that we've agreed to today?
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot.
You can do it from there.
All right, so the 6 that we're recommending, do I have to do an order too?
No.
That's a lot of pressure.
This is my cue.
One is swapping childcare and cafe locations. So they're both still there, they both still function the same way, they're just located in different spots. 2 is having a partner organization, usually that front section, preferably the hospital, or medical tenant, or medical partner, up there in that front space instead of the office. 3 is moving the offices to the shell space up on the second floor, as opposed to having them up front. 4 is, not the clip and climb, that was next. Well, 4 is second floor memberships, having more amenities to fitness is really how I should say that. That's more amenities on the second floor to serve fitness. The climbing was 5th, switching out clip and climb for just the rock wall and bouldering. And then 6th was the change to a computer-specific room to a generic room and having a boardroom.
And in the boardroom, that was a panel that could be moved so it could be opened up into larger areas.
That's how it's drawn.
In both of those. Okay.
And we put it on the outside so it could have some natural light over there. And be able to close it off.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. With the help of the team.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess you can see. You can see we've come a long way. We're sculpting, if you will. There's a lot of pieces of clay coming together. We're starting to make fine-tuning adjustments to make things go. But it's almost go time. We're about ready to go. Tony's ready to go out and start pushing dirt. We're about ready to go. We need to get moving because we want to cut a ribbon. We want to see a lot of things happen. Be aware, as Greg said, he's got a checklist of 600 items that we're going through that are all have subcomponents and assigned. There's a huge team behind these folks making things happen. We're going to continue to make it going, but I think you can see we've got the right folks in place. We're on the path to make the vision that y'all had when you started something that's going to be a reality. So I think we're happy. These guys will be hanging around a little bit. We're going to change to the second topic we're going to have. We'll take about a 10-15 minute break. We'll reset up computers. Restrooms are down the hall on the right. Stretch your legs a little bit, and we'll be back in about 15 minutes.